Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the Guardian of the Blue Paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, Philadelphia Flyers season preview with Pearlo Wisdom. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi guys, welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. How you guys doing out there? Yeah,
I'm all right.
buddy. Now, you couldn't wait till we had a special episode because, let's face it, folks, the Flyers are getting ready to open up their season here real shortly. So, this is our preview episode of the Philadelphia Flyers season coming up with special guest Pearlo Wisdom. How are you, my man?
Awesome, buddy. I'm getting all prepared to shut myself in for the season.
That divorce level of hockey watching?
Gotcha, buddy. Got my little
By the way,
box.
just want to say, check this out.
Pearlo Wisdom.
Yeah, buddy. Get the frolic, man. Get the frolic.
Yes.
We're going to get into some frolic, man. We had to bring you on for our preview episode of the season, episode number 97. Episode number 97, the Philadelphia Flyers season preview with Pearlo Wisdom. And we're going to get your perspective on some of the things that we normally go through here on the show. And we can't wait to hear some of the things that you have about the team and get caught up and everything like that. So why don't you tell us, Pearlo, where we can find you and where we can get all your great stuff, especially with what you got rolling, man. Why don't you tell the folks where they can get you right off?
Well, I got like the Pearlo Wisdom. I think if you search Pearlo on YouTube, I'm probably the only one, I'm pretty sure. So you can find me there. I did some great trade videos here just recently. Did Chikrin and Patrick Kane. A lot of people get on and ask me on the shows that I do, you know, who do you think is going to be traded? So I decided to do videos on it, and that's like one of my favorite things to do. Well, you can check me out on that. And Pearlo's POW in TikTok, you can get me there. And I'm also a professional handicapper. You can catch me at bpalpicks.com. Where you can get a lot of insight on the games and all that sort of thing there at bpalpicks.com on Telegram if you have it.
All right.
Sauce, man. And check this out, right? You can also get Pearlo on the SteelFlyers.com website. Oh,
Right.
yeah, baby.
New one coming up right away too, right?
That's right, man. So be looking forward to a little something dropping tomorrow. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Nice.
Mr. Lance Green, how are you, my good man?
I am swell. Ready to get talking about some Flyers hockey here. So
Yeah, buddy. All right. Here we go. Let's get into it. And I'm going to steal the first part.
all right.
Okay? I'm sorry. They call me Steel for a reason, and I'm going to actually live up to my name, and I'm going to steal the first part here of the show. And I want to just kind of send it out to both of you guys about the Standard. And it's a show it's a episode 2 that was released by the Philadelphia Flyers now. This is the second episode of this show. Last week we talked about it a little bit on the show a little bit. I kind of did the same thing. I stole the beginning of the show, and I'm doing it again. So, Pearlo, you watched any of the Standard at all? You kind of read anything about it, or
I haven't.
what do you think about, or what do you think about the idea of Philadelphia putting something out there like that?
Okay, well, I mean, you have to fill me in a little bit. You caught me off guard here. I didn't know exactly what all this was. I'm going to take a lucky guess, though.
Okay.
I'm going to say that they've created their own media outlet to be able to spin this.
Oh, yeah,
spin what
yeah,
they
yeah.
want to spin out there for. That's my guess, right?
Okay.
So that's my guess that this is probably what
Okay.
that is.
No, I wasn't trying to peg into a corner or anything like that. I just wanted to know if it was something that was on your radar to watch, something that is even, because I know it's also not one of Lance's things either.
Okay.
No.
Okay. See, I just wanted to make sure we were all kind of floating here on the same page.
It's bad enough I got to watch the games and stuff, so with this team, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I watched the first one. I watched the second one. The only reason why I'm watching them, I'll be honest with you guys, is because Bill Clement is doing the narration, and the music and the editing and the video production looks really good. It's all pretty much lip service as far as I'm concerned.
Propaganda.
Being said, in the videos and all that other kind of stuff, and I understand why they have to do it, and it's great, but all right, well, so much for that.
I mean, when they call it, all you had to do is tell me it was called The Standard, and I kind of got exactly what it was all about just by that.
Right. Okay.
We're setting the standard.
Right. It's Tortorella focused, and you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay.
That was the big signing of the offseason, so.
Yeah, that was the big signing of the offseason. So, all right. So, I will now turn it over to our host with the most, Mr. Lance Green. Sorry for stealing a bit of that show there.
You're right. So let's start off, gentlemen, by talking about the last three preseason games here. Over the last course of the week, of course, we all know that the preseason is the preseason. These games don't matter, but it does matter in a sense that it's a way to look at some of these younger players and see if they're going to be capable of stepping it up, taking it to the next level. So on Saturday, the Flyers fell to Boston 4-0. My big points there was Gross. He let in 3 goals. All right. Sandstrom stopped all of them, but he did get hurt. So that was a big thing, too, because Carter Hart's already banged up. Now Sandstrom's hurt as well. So we'll get that. We'll get into that as we go. So, again, Sunday, they played again Sunday. Flyers fell to the Islanders this time 2-1. D'Angelo had the only goal. Again, all current Flyer players that we know going to make the team are making the highlights. All right. Haven't seen a whole lot of prospects really stepping it up fully to shine in these games. And Tuesday, the Flyers fell to the Islanders again, 4-3. They were winning at the time. Big goals from Lawton. I thought he played well. Tippett stepped it up and played really well with Kevin Hayes. Like I said, I really like seeing him with Kevin Hayes. I think they have a nice pairing together, a dynamic, if you will. Yes. And Tanner Laczynski. So Tanner Laczynski is a prospect. He's an older prospect, but highlights here was Sam in net, Urson, 18 shots, 18 saves. They pulled him halfway through to the game to put Gross in, and he let in 4 goals and cost them the game. So much for that win there. But the only thing I can say, and I'll let you guys see if you watched any of the games or if you want to talk about anything from these preseason events here, I wouldn't put that much faith into Laczynski here. It seems like the Flyers, are kind of liking him, but I got to say, he's had 3 hip surgeries in the last 3 years. So I kind of put him in the same boat as I do Wade Allison. I like him, but I'm not going to rely on to be a top, producer for the year. So what do you guys think of the preseason game so far? Well, it's the end of them now, so.
Yeah, Pearlo?
Well, I mean, the best I can say is that it's just, this team is not going to be good in the preseason right now. Tortorella has mentioned it, and everybody knows. Tortorella actually has a mentality that if you have legs for the preseason games, I'm not working you hard enough.
Yeah.
So you really teams that do really well, like for instance, the San Jose Sharks did really well in the preseason this year. They're going to be diabolically bad in the regular season. And part of the reason why is, and this was kind of like Quinn is the coach there now. It's kind of the problem with the Rangers is it was too much of it was too easy for them. And Tortorella is not like that. So I'm not surprised that the young players aren't playing. They're barely getting their legs moving out there after him kicking his butt and whatever. So whatever they're going to be throughout the season, we'll see. I think most are going to be sent down. Anybody that's under 22, 21, they're going to be sent down and get in better shape for next year. Really, that's what it's going to come down to here. So it doesn't surprise me that guys like D'Angelo and stuff, they've been in the league long enough to know what it means to be a professional. And, most players will figure that out, even if they're not pushed, if you're a regular in the NHL like that. So it doesn't surprise me that they're the ones scoring the most goals right now. They probably have the most legs to do. That's pretty much, as far as goaltenders are concerned, Gross is not an NHL.
No.
So poor guys get out there, and they got to keep on playing him, and he's not ready to be in there at all. Sandstrom getting injured, I hope that's not anywhere near long term, I guess. But I think everybody, what I'm getting mostly is, and I'll talk about this a little more, and it probably somewhere in another segment, is I think they're already starting to realize this they're not going to be doing well this year.
Yeah.
I think they already know that.
Steel?
You think they're just now getting the handle on that? No, I mean I'm asking you. I mean, because what's really funny is stuff that I've been saying for the last 18 months is now kind of coming to fruition, where everybody thought this team was something that it really isn't. There's a lot of people that think that certain players are what they are, and I'm not seeing it, and I'm trying really hard to, you know what I mean? Like I want to see this team be successful, and I want to see this team win, but like I'm just not seeing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not seeing it from management, and I'm not seeing it from you know what I'm, it's like it's like they kind of fell into that mentality of, they are one or two players away from contention. And every decision they've made for the last 18 months has been based off of that kind of model, right? I mean, to some extent, I believe, me personally, that's my opinion, okay? Because I can only see with what I see. They continue to bring in retread guys that are really shouldn't be playing for a team that's in a rebuild, whether you want to admit it or not. And there's a lot of guys that shouldn't be on the team that are taking spots from some of the younger guys, especially if you're in a retool / rebuild, whatever you want to freaking call it. You know what I mean? So I do feel Tortorella is going to be a good influence on this team, but I believe, is exactly. Now, look, I also like D'Angelo as well. I think that's going to be a good addition to this edition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but the preseason, and I'm kind of with Pearlo on that as well with the preseason. I don't really put a lot of stock in it because, Tortorella is it's Torturella. Right, and he's torturing these guys because he's. It's almost like going to boot camp, right? Like you got to get broken first, and then you got to get built back up the way you're supposed to be, the way you're gonna. You know what I mean?
Well, I think these players in Philadelphia have been, and especially during the Giroux and the Voracek era, they've been doing the same thing for so long and kind of coasting it and phoning it in for so long. They're just okay with being mediocre. And now they got a coach that is not going to put up with that at all. And he's got to break them down, to break that, way of thinking and preparing for the game or lack thereof, and reteach them how they're supposed to approach a game. So, I mean, with that being said, has anybody impressed you guys throughout the preseason, or possibly you're looking forward to watching this season? I know I like Noah Cates. I was very surprised with how he played. He's a very hard-nosed kind of guy. I kind of think he plays like Scotty Lawton. He was a forechecking a lot. He did a lot of good things out there. Now, is he the type of prospect that I wanted the team to kind of have this year, where somebody break out and really just, hands down make the club and be a top 6 person with all these top first round draft picks with Forrester and Frost and Radcliffe being a second round pick and all these guys that we've been waiting on to come through really haven't. So I really like Noah Cates. I thought Scotty Lawton really showed that he is more than what people think he is or give him credit for. And I like Owen Tippett when he's playing with the right people. Like I said, I think he played well with Hayes. Steel, who'd you get the warm and fuzzies about so far this year?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with that Olle Lyscell.
Okay.
I really liked what he put out on the ice during the preseason, as far as what I kind of felt was impressive. And so far, I also think too that Ronnie Attard has had a pretty good camp as well too. And so I mean,
he made the team so far. I don't think he was sent down yet. So
we're going to get into that in a minute.
Yeah, we're going to get that in a minute. So
I also too have to agree. I liked Tippett. I liked Noah Cates as well. Of course, the regulars. I really like that idea of Owen Tippett with Hayes, and I would have really liked to have seen him with Couturier.
I want to see him with Farabee.
See, I think I would like to see Farabee and TK.
I think they play the same side. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever. Whatever they put together. But so all right.
Not saying that Torch won't mix it up for sure.
I'm hoping he does. And I would like to see a consistency in the lineup. Right, that's just me personally.
I think we'll get there. Yeah.
You have that consistency. You build chemistry with the players that are on that line with you. You know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents.
But you got to keep them healthy so they can stay on the ice with you.
Hey,
but that's another story for another day. Perla, what do you got?
I haven't been able to watch preseason, but I'll just say that anybody who has legs right now, they're probably, that's impressive. If you've got legs for the preseason and you're still in the lineup now, that means that you're going in the right direction. Because if you can still have legs with what Tortorella put you through then that means that you're a well-conditioned athlete, and that's what they need here more than anything, I think. So I would say it sounds like you said Jackson Cates is showing well in preseason.
Jackson as well, but yeah, Noah Cates has really done well, and Jackson as well. Both brothers are on the team, so yeah, they've both been succeeding.
So that means that they have physically got themselves in a position where they at least can play full games through a regular season. That's really what Tortorella is looking for right now, I think, is players that can do the full 82, that can actually play the full 82 and aren't going to die out on them all the time. So if they're doing that, they're probably going to make it. It's good.
Well, gosh, there you go.
That's the reason why, I guess, are we going to talk about it later? That's the reason why York was probably sent down. He didn't.
Yeah, we're going to get into that here in a second. Yeah. Steel, you guys got any disappointments? I thought that Justin Braun, I mean, I know we've hated on him in the past, and I don't know why he came back again with so much youth on the defense, but he really looked like 10 years older out there. Since we last traded him, even he was slow. He really looked like Tortorella has made him regret agreeing to come back for another season. I think he just looks hurt, like he's hurting right now. And you know, I kind of upset with the fact that you know, guys like Forrester and you know, Dejournay really didn't give us something. You know, they played at, you know, Team Canada at the World Juniors, and they really should have been coming in ready to go, and they just didn't for me. So those would be my guys that I was really kind of disappointed in what I saw out of them. So.
All right. Okay. So here we go. I want to get into this one here now because I know this is going to be the spark that lights the fire right here, because this is what the meat of this whole thing is, and we're talking about roster cuts like a knife. And of those cuts, two of the names that, or a couple of those names that we mentioned that, you know, we felt were going to be guys that potentially could be on the team are not on the team. Aforementioned Cam York sent down.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit torn on this. I got a little 50-50 on this, because the reason why I'm torn is if he's not going to get top 4 minutes, then why do you have him up here? And if he is going to get top 4 minutes, then he needs to be on his natural side. And if the only reason why you're not giving him top 4 minutes is because you can't put him on his natural side, then
well, I think both, like you said, I think both Nick Seeler and Zumala, for me, outplayed him, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think that York, you know, really is deserving to be stuck on a third pairing alongside Justin Braun. I would not wish that on my enemy. So to have to play with him, especially if you're trying to prove yourself and make your way into the league. You know, he's a left-hand shot defender. And like you said, Provy and Sanheim are both left-hand shots. And if he's going to have to play on the third pairing, I'd rather see him down in Lehigh right now and getting top line minutes, playing on the PK, playing on the penalty kill. Like, okay, like if we're going to stink this year, I would want to see him up, but and get that experience. But if he's going to be buried in the lineup anyway, let him go down and get big time minutes and develop further. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm 50-50, because I really think that but you said it. He didn't really come to play, and Pearlo, I believe you even mentioned too before, he's not really capable of doing the full 82 yet. And so it makes more sense to send him down, because now he'll get top line minutes with Lehigh. He'll get top responsibility down there until he can't handle it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, and another aspect of it, when I said that they know they're not going to be very good, I'm not talking about the whole Philadelphia Flyers organization. I'm talking specifically about the players in the room. Tortorella has come in and said, this is where you got to be. And they all know they're not there.
Right.
He's made it clear, you're not there. So we're working towards this, you're not there. These guys know they're not making it in the playoffs this year. They know that.
Right.
And York being on this team now is, to me, I think is just not a place where he needs to be. There's going to be a lot of losing. There's going to be a lot of Tortorella getting on people. There's going to be a lot of some negativity going on here. You know, it's not a place for young people. It's not a place for young people. He can build his confidence down there in the AHL, and when they find some players that can play with him, they'll bring him back up here. I think that, to me, that was a sign, because I do believe he's better than like Rasmus Ristolainen or, you know, some of the guys here as far as skill is concerned. But that's a sign to me that it's Tortorella saying we're not good enough and we're not going to keep our kids in this environment this year. I just don't think it's a good.
Yeah, and I think they did the same thing with Tyson Forrester. Like I said, all you hear about is his shot. His shot is there. It's been there since, he was with the Barrier Colts. It's an NHL level shot. But in order to be in the league and show that shot in the league, you got to be able to skate. You got to be able to get to where you're supposed to be. You got to be able to make all the plays that you're supposed to make. And I mean, while his skating has come a long way since being drafted, I don't think that it's quite there yet to be on the NHL level. So I really like the roster makeup of the Phantoms. I think they're a lot better team than they were last year. Now they're going to have Desjardins there. They're going to have some more pieces for sure. And I think that's what the Flyers need to do all along. I think they need to get their players out of these other leagues all over the world. If they're signed to a contract, they need to be playing for the Phantoms. They need to be developing together and building and getting used to playing with one another in the team system in case they are needed, and then bring them up. I'm tired of seeing our AHL roster filled with 35-year-old players like Cal O'Reilly. He plays great, the captain, but that's not what the AHL is meant for in my mind. You got to have some veterans down there to show them the way, but at the same time, that's kind of the coach's responsibility too. It's about, building a youth that is going to take the place of your players upcoming, So I don't know. I do like kind of the cuts to get them out of there, but I'm torn, like he said. I want to see them play because that's the only thing that I would want to go to see the game for, is to see some of these youth playing and seeing how they're going to develop. But I don't think they're going to develop with the Flyers this year. I think Cam already said it that, he kind of knows the writing on the wall before it happened to him. And he knows he maybe didn't come ready for the type of fury that was given to, placed upon the Flyers. So in Tortorella's camp. So it is what it is. It's a learning experience for all these young players. So with that being said, who's the captain going to be of this team? They haven't announced it yet.
Ain't going to be one.
It's going to be 3 alternates?
Yeah, I think that's probably where he would go to. So
yeah, especially if Couturier doesn't start the season. And I think he even came out and said at the very beginning that he's not even ready to even have a captain, or he's not even necessarily ready to deal with a captain even this season.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, he's even been quoted as saying that he doesn't even expect to have one until maybe even after December.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, because there's a lot of people, a lot of players out there whose leadership abilities tend to stagnate a little bit if there's not an opportunity to be appreciated for those abilities. Mm-hmm. So I think he would like to see. Now, talking about great points first, I want to continue. That was a great point about having selecting players and having players playing on your farm system together. Importance of that.
Yeah.
Rather than over in Europe and stuff like that. That was a fantastic point. I wanted to recognize that.
I appreciate it. I wrote an article on it not too a while ago now, but yeah, it definitely is a reason why some clubs are definitely succeeding and some aren't. So
yeah, I think I would draft with that in mind. I think a lot of draft picks get picked whether they're going to come over to North America or not, for that very reason. I think it's very important. But I think also maybe not the same vein, but in this way, I think there's a lot of leadership that can be found here if there's not a captain selected right away. Just leave it open. You can get an A on your shirt, or anybody can. We just want to see how you all can be leaders in your own way. I could see Tortorella going that route with this group to try to get as much, see where everybody's at.
even to build onto that point there that we talked about, LA's doing it, Anaheim's doing it, where they're drafting all their guys and all their kids are all playing for their AHL teams.
Not depending on other coaches from all around the world and all different leagues to develop your young talent. And that's what the Flyers are doing. They are basically getting these guys out of the NCAA and all this other stuff, basically when they're ready to go and they should be moved on to the next, step instead of doing the legwork themselves. And that's why their system's failing and their development is failing, because they're not putting the effort into it. They're depending on others to do it. So, and as far as this captain thing goes, I see the point of Torts not wanting one, but I think I applaud him for not just throwing it on the highest paid player of the team. But if I had to give one, and if there had to be one, I still think Scott Lawton should get it. There's a reason why they call him Sarge, because he has battled through. He has fought his way through being somebody on the bottom of the roster cuts and the last man to make the team and all this stuff. He was a first-round draft pick that people wanted to get rid of for a long time. And he's made himself to the player he is today by doing all the right things. Forechecking, finishing his checks, penalty killing, all the things that is going to be needed on such a team without the star talent that this team doesn't have. Okay. And that's why I think they need to throw it back to maybe a Keith Primo kind of person where it's not just the best player, point wise on the team. It's a true leader in showing the people how to get, throw him on his back and take him through the rough stuff, the mud and the trenches of the world and really come out on top of here in a year or two. So that's just my thoughts on that.
As far as who I would pick as captain, I like Louts. I like him as a captain. I think that would be good. I mean, everybody's the obvious choice is Couturier, but
can't be a captain from the press box.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so I really do like Scotty Lawton as a selection. I'm even thinking now, I mean, it's only because he's the obvious choice, but I mean, I would say you'd even have to, I would be okay if Cam Atkinson was selected as well, because I have a feeling that Torts is going to leave the captaincy up to the players to elect, which is why I think he's not going to select a captain, and he's going to lay that onus on the players. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's going to do exactly what both of you guys pointed out. It's going to allow that person that opportunity to lead, and then that person's going to be able to have that opportunity to then be captain because he's going to be the leader, and the players are going to be like, this is who we want as our captain.
Right. I mean, I like Cam too, but I think he's a little like Giroux in a sense. I don't think he's the guy to kick the coaches out of the room when necessary and curse the team out and get them going. But I think that he, in a sense, he won't need to because Tortorella will already be doing that. So,
I got a surprise one for you.
All right.
Yeah, buddy.
And the reason why I have a surprise, why I take this player is because what Tortorella really respects in a captain more than anything is a healthy hate for the opposition.
Yes.
Yes.
And nobody does that better than D'Angelo in this game. And I would not be surprised if Tortorella fixes whatever issues that were with him before. I think he's going to take a liking to D'Angelo quite a bit because of that healthy hate he has for the opposition. Maybe needs to be restrained a little bit in some of his actions that he does, but it's there. It is abundantly clear that D'Angelo hates the opposition when he plays. And that is something that Tortorella stresses constantly.
Mm-hmm.
He just constantly. He goes, I don't care what you do off the ice, but when you're on the ice,
yeah,
I don't want you liking them at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. I could definitely see that.
I don't
Yeah.
think he's the guy. I'm not saying
Right.
he's the guy.
Right.
Just for that reason, and Tortorelli has a tendency to do things outside of the box. I could see it happen. Just
yeah, I like D'Angelo as a player. I just don't know if they're going to do that yet with his past. His past for me, he apologized. He played last season. He shut his mouth and all the right stuff. I think he's matured. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. But I do like what you said. I think that is a Flyers, or it used to be a Flyers mantra. Like, I don't care if you go out and have a drink with him after the game, but if he takes a dirty hit on one of your players, you better be punching his teeth out during the game. You know what I mean? Like, I always played that way. I always played that way. I don't know if you did, Pearlo, but I always played that way. My friends I was talking trash to and talking about their sisters and in the stands to get them going.
Definitely not your buddy on the ice.
I was the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
That way. But I think that's what hockey is all about. That's what makes hockey hockey. Look at the playoffs.
Yeah.
You beat the crap out of each other and you shake after the game. That's what hockey is. That's what makes hockey hockey. That's why I love Tortorella as much as I do. And I'm really excited that he's the coach of this team, not because I think they're going to do well this year, but because this mentality is what I love about the game. And it's the reason why I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan. And I think that is what fans have been really craving for a long time, to get back to that.
Yes.
That used to be the Philadelphia Flyers.
Exactly. So, I had to team myself up with an ex-goaltender because I've never laced the skates up in anger. But I'm here to tell you, I've put my hand in the dirt for over 10 years playing football, and I was the same exact way. We can be best friends when we're outside of these white lines, but when I'm putting my hand in the dirt, I'm coming for you. You know what I mean? Like, I got no love for you. I'm sorry.
There's a reason why I was a goalie and led the team in penalty minutes, fighting majors, and suspensions. So
see, this is what I team myself with. Where you go, I get the best, right?
I was the guy that got the abuse because I was terrible.
Yep.
Dirty, yappy, everybody hates. That's what I was.
I still play that way.
I know that's hard to believe for me now, right? I'm pretty much.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Well, look,
but talking about goaltending, I want
to talk about that's something that I think we also need to address. That is, I think, the ugly elephant in the room here, and Hockey Writers Inc. tweeted it out here earlier this week as a little, quick little poll here. But I'm scared of goal for this season. And the reason why I am is because Carter Hart is hurt. Now Sandstrom potentially could be hurt. I really think that Grosneck is more than likely going to be the goaltender for the Phantoms, because that just makes utter sense. The guy's, 35? He had one of the best records so far in the AHL last year as far as that's concerned. Why not have him down there and be that guy, be that solid point down there for the Phantoms? And you mean to tell me you're going with Hart or Sandstrom or Eriksson? I mean, I understand what you're saying, Pearlo, but man,
it's not looking good.
Just not.
Sold.
I get the cold and pricklies when I look at this goaltending room, man. So
let's break it down. Carter Hart. Let's face the facts here. He hasn't played a single minute in this preseason. In fact, he has not played a single game since April 12th of last season against Washington, where he let in 3 goals and 10 shots. Folks, that's over 175 days ago. He hasn't since he's been in game situations. All right. Do you think game 1, even if he's healthy for the start of the season, he's going to be tip-top shape just because he's been practicing a little bit? I don't think so. On top of that, his numbers from last season don't bode well for the team's success moving forward. Last year, he played in 45 games, only winning 13 of those. That's a win percentage of 0.28. That's 28% of his starts he won. All right, he had a 3.16 GAA with a 905 save percentage. The year before, he only played in 27 games, where he won 9. Again, that's a 36% win percentage there. He averaged a 3.67 GAA with a under 900 save percentage at 877. All right, that's scary in my mind to be the guy supposed to be in net. And then
how many shutouts? 2,
yeah,
maybe?
maybe one, maybe, I don't know. Then there's Sandstrom, right? Sandstrom. He stopped all 2 shots Saturday night, but before getting hurt. So that's 2 goaltenders that are currently hurt. Not too bad banged up, but he's got only 5 games of NHL experience to his credit, and he has no wins. We talked about Grosneck. He's 33 years old. He's only had 4 starts in the NHL. This is the goaltending depth. The only bright spot of this whole goaltender situation of the preseason so far has been Öresund, who's 22, a 22-year-old Swede who we had drafted for a couple of years now. He's looked pretty strong, but he doesn't have any NHL experience. So this does not bode well for this club, correct? And what was the Flyers' solution to this problem in net? To sign Nolan Mayer from the Saskatoon Blades to the Phantoms contract, right? And let's give another contract, be it as it may, it's an AHL contract, to another kid. I mean, okay, great. But he was no star in the making. His numbers, I mean, in the playoffs last season, he had over a 4 goals against average and under 900 save percentage. So I wrote an article about this, guys. If you guys haven't seen it, we'll put a link in it in this video. But it was about how the Flyers goaltending has gotten to this point. And most of it has been their goaltending goalie coaches. The one really hasn't been able to get it done, even when they brought in past goalies where he's had some success and won Stanley Cups with in the past to the team. Last season, he wasn't able to get him going. And even his assistant goaltending coach, which if you read the article, you'll be able to see, who has offered over the past 7 years and really offered management who they should draft as far as goaltenders and all this stuff. So really, I mean, I put the blame on them. And I point out a lot of different aspects in the article on why the team and maybe even the goaltenders have lost hope or direction or even care to listen to these 2 guys. So, I don't know. I got a quick fix that they should have, but what do you guys think on some of these points? Is the goaltender scary in my mind? What do you think, Pearlo?
I think this is where I can go in with my little surprise positivity about the Philadelphia Flyers.
Please, we need some at this point.
After all of this, I've really had a lot of questions about a lot of the moves they made, and I've had the same answers as I've heard from you guys and from a lot of other people. I honestly don't think that Chuck Fletcher is stupid. I really don't think any general manager actually is. So when the answer is that he is stupid for doing that, I always try to look at it from a different direction in everything that they're doing. And I've come to the conclusion that what Chuck Fletcher has been doing is been tanking with and really trying to look like he's not, because he has a lot of pressure. And I've mentioned this a lot of times with the sponsors in Philadelphia. So what he has done, like for instance, and I'll get back to this with the goaltending, I'll tie it into the goaltending at the end. Ryan Ellis. I thought it was a great move until I talked to Nashville Predators fans that said his career's probably over.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, that's stupid. Okay, Chuck Fletcher didn't make it to as far as he can being stupid. So what happens why do you do something like Ryan Ellis? It is a wonderful way to bring somebody in who is for sure going to be injured, and you can use that as an excuse as to why the team isn't doing well at the moment, while really not doing anything to improve it besides boosting up what you already have. That can be the same can be said for as far as what happened with Rasmus Ristolainen. Rasmus Ristolainen is only going to be good when he's 30. They know that. They have to know that. He'd had a terrible bringing up in Buffalo. He's got all the tools, but you're going to have to reprogram him completely. And by the time he's 30, he could be good. Guess what? That would be about the time the Philadelphia Flyers might be good. So I think he's actually taken all of this into account, realizing that it's not good for Philadelphia to be good right now. What they have is not really good enough. Anthony DeAngelo's 26. 4 years from now, he's 30. He's not too bad. Carter Hart's having difficulties right now. Like you said, we don't know what he's going to be at the moment, but he's only 24. If he is good, he's not going to be good enough to make this lineup good. And if he's not good, that doesn't really hurt because we can look for another goaltender as we go on here, as we move on in here. Another one that people slide quite a bit, and so did I. I didn't understand why you give Nicholas Delaurier $1.7 million at 31 years old for till 2026. So I did a little study into Nicholas Delaurier and what his value is to a team. The guy is a spiritual leader. He's the kind of guy that goes in the room and has like these very wise things to say, especially to young kids. He's able to boost their confidence really, really well. He's a wonderful speaker. He's the kind of guy that's probably going to be a public speaker after he's done, maybe even a coach. And he is terrible on the ice. I'm not going to say that he's not, but his value is in that. These are moves that are made to me with the view of being good 4 or 5 years from now, and not real. And yet you still don't have to tell your sponsors we're in a rebuild. Oh, look, we tried. What are we going to do? He was injured. We thought you're lying. We thought Ristolainen was going to come in and be better than he is right now. He's going to take a while. But it's sort of giving excuses to sponsors and stuff as they move on to try to kind of smooth over the fact that everything is happening the way it is. Meanwhile, knowing that the whole time that it is going to happen that way. That's my surprise positivity for this that I said that I was going to give you here. I really think that this is the move. This is what they've been doing all along.
Wow. I mean, that actually, the fact that you say it like that, but yet I see too many things. We don't have the access that, we're not in the locker rooms. We're not talking to these guys on a daily basis. And all we can see is what we see. So this is what we report on, is what we see based off of what moves are being made and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I really think the writing was more on the wall when they didn't even try to get Johnny Gaudreau. Because,
I forgot to mention that part. Yeah.
I mean, why would you want to try to bring somebody in here when you know that you're basically just going to waste him for the next 4 or 5 years, right? Yeah. I mean, but in the same breath, I'm just not seeing.
Would have sold some jerseys, though.
But but wait a second. What did they do with Gaudreau? They really made it seem like they were trying to do something when they were not.
Right.
So they were selling this idea that they're trying not to do this tank that they're actually doing. They had no intention of getting Gaudreau ever. But they made it look like it to the people.
Man, I just have a hard time believing that these guys are smart enough.
That's my theory as of now. It could break down, but a lot of these things make sense that way, to do it that way. Yeah.
See,
it's just a lot of.
It's hard to believe that these guys are smart enough to do that.
Oh, I don't think it's hard to believe that a guy like Chuck Fletcher, who's a businessman the way he is, that's smart enough to do that. That's what he's done his whole life. I don't know if he's very good at building a team, but he seems to be really good at bullcrapping. And that's exactly what he would be. See? And that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's trying to keep the sponsors in play. That's what ownership cares about right now. We got to keep the lights on in this arena, man. So if we're going to rebuild,
listen, I look at my Comcast bill. They should have the lights on. All right, they own
they got no
the
problems
dark
keeping
team.
the lights on in that building. Let me tell you.
It's still money no matter what you say.
Yeah.
And if you can keep the sponsors happy, then it's great. And I think that's what they're using Chuck for. But as you guys have opened my eyes to, is that Briere is probably the guy, right?
Yeah.
They're just using Chuck to keep what I just said in place right now. I think Briere is a guy going to be actually doing any player moves from now on.
I've wrote articles on that in the past too. From being up in the press box and everything like that, you just see it. They're kind of training him along. He started out the year when he first came on, he was way down on the end of the line, away from Chuck, and at the end of the year, he was right next to him, jotting down notes and telling him stuff and everything like that as the season went on. And I mean, they've been training him since he retired. They asked him or gave him the idea of going back to school. And he went to, I believe, Wharton, business school and everything, like the best business school, the best. They've been pushing him to do all these moves because they saw something in him. So I would not be surprised if one day they do give Chuck Fletcher the boot and he takes over.
Chuck Fletcher goes up. He does what a president does.
Well, he does what we don't want the previous GM, now that he does. He just in a suit and tie and he's there, and we're not really sure what he does.
I think what he does is what I just said what he does. And if he can keep those sponsors happy, I think he moves up to the president.
With the BS. No, see, I already predicted this. I already predicted this at the end, before the end of last season. What's going to happen is Chuck Fletcher is going to become president of operations, right? And Danny Briere is going to become the general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later, like December, right? Because I'm here to tell you, this team is just not really going to be good. And if you can only shine a pile of dookie so much. And all it really is at the end is just a shiny pile of dookie. And at some point, that bill's going to have to come due, Pearlo. I get what you're saying, and I hear you, and I understand. But the bill's going to have to come due, and they just don't have the talent or the players in the wings or any prospects to even remotely make me think that anything's going to be different in 4 or 5 years.
Oh, probably not. It would be a amazing New York Rangers like Gorton level rebuild, but they had more to work with.
Yeah,
for sure, no doubt about that. But the firing along the line here this year, not firing, but move to president and make it look like a firing, because that wonderfully gives them another scapegoat measure to get them through to the end of the year. They're just going like in 6-month increments, trying to give excuses after excuses as they do this rebuild, try to keep everybody from leaving. That's what it feels like they're doing today.
I don't know. I mean, even if that was true, I think that the Flyers fans, the faithful, would be okay at this point if management just came out. And I get what you're saying about the sponsors and everything else. I think the fans would be okay if they came out and they said, hey, look, we got to start over. Giroux is gone. Let's face it. Voracek's gone. Simmons is gone. Hartnell's gone. Everybody's gone. Now we got to rebuild. And we're going to put a team out there. We're going to play the kids. We're going to, try to coach them up as best we can and develop them. And we may stink for a couple of years, but know that we're going to get some draft picks and we're going to get the right team back together. And we're going to revamp this development process that is broken. And I think the fans would be okay with that. And they might still come to games if you played some people in there and lost with the youth rather than losing with Justin Braun, who's 35 years old and looks like and JVR, who skates like they got cement blocks on their feet. I think the fans are just frustrated at this point and are tired of being lied to, because I think the Flyers fans are a lot smarter than some fans, are a lot more into the games and more knowledgeable about the game than a lot of fans where some teams are in bad situations elsewhere in the country. I think the Flyers fans are a lot smarter than, the rest of the league gives them credit, because they do know this game and they're very passionate. And that's just my take on it. I think, if that is the case and Fletcher does move up to president, by all means, get him out of that seat of GM. But
that happen like December? No.
Yeah, but even to take on the salary of, like you said, of some of these players, who'd you mentioned, defenseman from Nashville there that we got, he's got Ryan Ellis has got tons of years left on his contract, and that's just screwed us over for amount of years. And, it may be a ploy or whatever like that, but I mean, it's going to hurt for years to come if you want to right the ship there.
You could use it to hit the cap floor. You can also trade it to a team that's in cap hell so they can get cap space. That would be something you would do in the long term.
You would need to pull off a Chris Pronger deal to the Coyotes again when he's already done playing, but
if you start doing this, then you would have had to have did what you said. And I think there is a plan to just kind of get everybody used to things and then say, yeah, we're in a rebuild. They're just sort of trying to lay everybody down low, help them understand that it's going to be okay. We actually do have fans that are still going to come to the building and all this stuff like that. Instead of just shocking, because sponsors don't know the game. And I don't know how many people in Comcast know the freaking game.
No, they none.
Really, right? So if you just shock them and say, we're going to do this, they're going to lose their freaking mind. So I think this is just sort of like a slowly bringing them down. And then eventually, we're going to be trading Ellis to some team that needs cap space and getting picks. And this is our program to rebuild this team the way it needs to be. I could even see Carter Hart being traded. All of these players.
At this point, I'm ready.
Trade them all. Do a Chicago. Get everybody.
Right? No, right.
Exit stage left. First round draft picks in.
See you. Thanks. Yeah.
Let's build this up and enjoy the kids and root for this team to become a dynasty down the road. I think that's where it's going.
I agree. I would like to see that. I really would, but I'm not seeing it right now.
No.
You know what I mean? So I agree with what you're saying, and that would be great if that's really what was going to be the case. But like I said, I have to see that, and it's very difficult to see that because when you do take off those glasses and you do look at the reality and you look at the numbers and you watch the tape and you see the players and and Lance gets to write these great articles because he's sitting up there in the press box and everything else like that. I mean, it makes it difficult to say, well, okay, yeah, this is maybe what you're trying to do, but this is what you're showing me.
Yeah. No,
Right.
like I said, I think the reason why that is the case is they're doing it slowly. Unfortunately, they feel they have to.
I got you.
Owners, Comcast.
I got you.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, they could be totally wrong. They could be freaking out for no reason. And if they were to just do a complete rebuild, it wouldn't be as bad as they think. And I think that's very likely, as Lance is probably staying here. But, it's very likely that it wouldn't be as bad as they think.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you look at Edmonton or you look at Pittsburgh. I mean, Edmonton went out and they stunk for years, and look at what they got now. They got some great pieces. They just need some goaltending, some better defense.
Couple things, yeah.
A couple of things but they have the pieces there. If you went out and sold the fact that, hey, we're going to tank, but it's so that we can get that generational talent and sell out the arena again and go for it in the next year or two, I don't know. I think some sponsors would still be there, but like you said, they don't know.
Edmonton wasn't sponsor. They held on too long because they had this old school mentality.
Yeah.
And they have an owner that's just as pig-headed and wants to win now and all that kind of stuff like that. I don't think it
It's-
really had much to do with sponsors, but they held
No,
on
no,
too
not the
long.
same,
And
but I
that's
was
the reason why it took 10 years to
right.
get to where they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was
Right?
just saying, if you would tank, and just admit you stink like
Sell
Pittsburgh
off
did, or
right
sell
now.
off everything. Right now, let's stink it up and let's go get 2 or 3 back-to-back, top 5 picks and make a run at it. Somebody that can actually come in day one after being drafted. And, the Flyers had that this year in a player, in Cutter, but they sent him back to college and let him do his thing and are trying to hopefully tank, like you said. I think they are trying to tank without
I think
telling
so.
us. And go after, the Connor Bernards, and there's a bunch of people this draft as well.
And
Van
next year's
Tilly,
draft.
yeah, there's quite a few of them that I really, really like. So we'll see. We'll see if we get one of them, and in the next 2 or 3 years, we really come back with a vengeance. So
I don't think there's any such thing as a tanking per se, because I don't think that this franchise, I don't think the fan base, I don't think the ownership could handle anybody saying that they are
They'll never
tanking.
use the word.
They will
use it.
never say that. That's just not going to ever happen, right?
Yeah.
And they're
I don't think
always
any
going to be like,
organization
no.
right. And
said
it's
that
always
word.
going to be about them going out there to win, okay? And
Smoke and mirrors.
look, but
Yeah,
here's the thing,
smoke
though,
and mirrors.
okay? Here's the bottom line. We want to see this team win too. We want to see this team be successful. We want to see this team raise the cup, right?
Mhm.
And we're going to be there every step of the way until they do get to raise that cup, hopefully, if we're still alive.
Yeah.
Because it's been a really long time and it's ticking away now. So
It's funny you mentioned Cutter Goche there, and as much as I agree with like Projo and a bunch of other people that said they should have went for the defenseman there, there's something in me that has to appreciate going for power forwards again. It just gets me
Yes. Yeah.
excited inside that we're gonna have power forwards, my
the
friend.
size,
You
the
know?
speed, the strength,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
the
Philly
power.
way, Philly way, baby.
Yeah. I mean,
so
I really like Cutter. I had him in my mock drafts as the Flyers taking him this year, and I also did an article on the need of a power forward again. We
Still.
really don't have that on the team. And you look at all the successful teams, like you said, in the playoffs and everything like that, and that's where those players come to fruition there and flourish, because they're their 7-game series beating down the opposition in front of the net and everything else. And we really got away from that. We had so much success with that in the past with John LeClaire and Knuble and Wayne Simmons and Scott Hart. No, we had so much success with them. Tocchet. Oh my, you could
on and on. Yeah.
on and on and on, right? And I don't know why the team went away from that. I don't know why the team went away from that. It was such a successful. We were in the playoffs every single year. And I think that the team tried to buy into this new mantra of this newer, kinder, gentler NHL and getting these speedy, fast, young guys to come in.
Shorter, smaller.
But and they're great, but you have to have a balance, I think, and you have to have that power forward in order to protect that speedy, talented guy to get him the puck in the dirty areas and to knock it. So I think it is a good thing. We talked about that Steel. David Kaplan too's got some size that we drafted from Team USA as well.
Forster doesn't play.
Forster, yeah, he's got a big body. He needs to get a little bit more physical in my mind. I think Radcliffe, he's a big, huge body, and I want to see him get more physical. I think he would advance his game if he did knock some people on their butts and take the puck from them instead of trying to be that elite scorer that he was in juniors. In order to get that into the next level, I think he needs to use some of his size. So who knows? Hopefully, with all of these great young prospects, down in the minors this year, hopefully they can all come together and build upon themselves so they can be ready next year.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about this for you, right? So, Hockey Writers Inc. has been very blessed and very lucky to be. We are on a game by game, fully credentialed for the Phantoms this year. So we will be checking out the Phantoms games. So be looking for some Hockey Writers Inc. stuff about those prospects and them young kids down there playing for the Phantoms, because we'll be at some of them games, guys. So
I think they're going to be a lot more interesting games this year for sure. I think Torts has got some work to do with the big club, and I really want to see these young guys that they're going to have down there now with the rosters forming. I think they're going to be more of a presence. Excited. Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. So exciting. Yeah, get up to Lehigh, guys.
Yeah, really appreciate Lehigh for stepping up and giving us the opportunity to be out there and to represent. And we will definitely make you proud, that's for sure. We want to see the team win. We want to see the team be successful. And we can't wait to see all these young guys playing for the Phantoms for sure. Pearlo, man, dude, it's been a slice, man. It's been an awesome, like an unopened bag of unbroken Doritos. Yeah, buddy. Pearlo, tell the folks where we can get you, where we can find you, and how we can get all your great stuff, sir.
My NHL Pearls of Wisdom on the YouTube is where you'll find all my content. That I do a lot of trade stuff. Also have to talk. I'll be doing hockey analysis for Off the Wall Hockey and Peyton on the Radio quite a bit. That's probably going to be my biggest focus this year. I love doing that. Those guys are fantastic play-by-play guys. If you haven't subscribed to both of them, Peyton on the Radio and Off the Wall Hockey. Legends, unbelievable. Some of the best you ever hear. If you're watching a game and you're not satisfied with the play-by-play there, I have center ice. There's a lot of that. Slip into one of those and you'll be really impressed, I assure you. They're fantastic. So
for sure.
Wanted to give them a big plug. Plus bpalpicks.com. If you really want to get deep inside a game and maybe get a little help with looking at making some money while you do it, bpalpicks.com. It's a great investment opportunity. I'd highly recommend that.
Awesome sauce, man. Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of all kinds of cool, fun things, Lance, why don't you tell us how we can get a hold of you and how we can find all your great stuff, sir?
Sure. You can always go to SteelFlyers.com, where I am the editor-in-chief now of this great site. It should be getting out whole revamped thing real soon. And you can always follow me on Twitter at lance.green39.
Awesome. Here's some other fun, good stuff, too. SteelFlyers will be sponsoring some of those games from Off the Wall Hockey.
Hey.
Yeah, so we'll be also joining Off the Wall Hockey as well this year, too, to do some of those games. We're going to probably be starting, or what we'd like to try to start to do, is what we're going to be calling Wednesday Night Rivalry. So be looking for some of those games that we're going to try to get scheduled. Yeah, well, we're going to be sponsored by SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we'll have John and or me and or guests to be announcing the game, and will be sponsored by the SteelFlyers All Sports Network. Also, be looking for the website coming out here real soon. There'll be announcements. Look for your Twitters and all other happy stuff. Also, folks, don't forget, you can go to all of your favorite podcasting platforms and type in Hockey Writers Inc., and you will find us from iHeart to Apple to Google to Amazon to Spotify, and big thanks to Spreaker for all the help in doing that. You can find Pearlo and Peyton on the Radio and Off the Wall Hockey also on their YouTube channels, and you can also find them on the SteelFlyers All Sports Network website at steelflyers.com/link/Pearlo Wisdom or link/ Peyton on the Radio or / Off the Wall Hockey and or / Hockey Writers Inc. Thanks everyone for catching us. We'll catch you all the next time. Go Flyers! We're ready for the opening night coming up here real soon. Puck drop's going to be coming, so stay tuned for that. Thanks everyone. We'll catch you on the next episode.